Okay. So Bryan, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How was the holidays?
Holidays was good. Spent it with family. Just went back to Georgia. It was with my wife and kids.
Good. How's Jenny doing?
Jenny's doing great. She was actually really glad to go somewhere a little bit warmer and just hang out with, my parents.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. It's good to have you in here today.
Thanks. Glad to
Good.
be here.
So, I just wanted to let you know that all of your coworkers have said that you have great performance, that you're really good at talking to people and just getting the sale done.
Good. I'm glad to hear.
Good. So what do you do? What's the secret?
So, me personally, I just kind of look at every customer as my friend. See how I can benefit them and find what they need versus just telling them completely about the product and just ignoring them. I see them as a friend and see how I can benefit them and how this product would make their life easier. So I find the problem and then go from there.
I guess, so how do you do that? How do you show individual people that you obviously don't know? How do you show them that you value them as an individual?
So I asked them directly, like, hey, so after I talked to them a little while, being their friend, it's like, hey, so have you been experiencing any of these problems by chance? And then once they tell me something, I was like, okay, elaborate a little bit more on that. And then once they told me something, I tell them about our products and how we can benefit them and make their life easier.
Okay, that's a really good tactic. So you just try to personalize with them, I guess, like figure out, get them to tell you their needs rather than you just starting out asking them. That's a really good tactic. Is there anything that you think that you could improve on? Is there any aspect that I guess you don't feel comfortable with when you're talking to people?
Not at the moment. I feel like I inform them very well and just once I find the problem, just give them everything, or all the possible solutions they could have as well, and go from there.
Okay. So I guess, what do you think is the overall tone of a phone call? Generally, when you talk to someone, I guess, what would you say, just in a couple words, is the overall atmosphere, like the attitude that you have when going into a phone call?
So first, obviously, being cold calling, they're a little bit closed off. But like I said, after a little while, I turn them into my friend because I want to make their life easier. It's a little bit friendlier after that. And then I feel like they do trust me after I build a little bit of credibility and just tell them.
Okay, so obviously you go into it with a very positive attitude. So what if how do you handle it if someone you're talking to kind of contradicts what you're saying, or maybe isn't super agreeable or open? How do you handle that if they don't reflect the same attitude that you have?
Not everyone's gonna reflect the same attitude. I know that. So the way I approach that is like still kind of the same thing. I ask them about their problems, and I mirror a little bit what they do. You know, I'm not super, like, if they're super abrupt or anything, not to be super rude or anything. But I just kind of mirror what they say and talk to them a little bit about the parts and everything, and still try to find their problem. But if they're a little bit closed off, I don't make assumptions. I'm like, hey, a few of the other people have experienced this. I don't know if you experienced anything similar.
Okay, so do you feel like you rush the phone call more if they do have kind of a negative attitude compared to someone that does openly want to talk to you? How do you feel like the phone call is different in that way?
So I could just be a little different. I just start informing them exactly what we offer.
Okay, so you feel like it's the same length of the phone call generally, even if someone is closed off compared to open?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay. Well, just to let you know, after a couple of your phone calls, because you are pretty new, we've just evaluated and screened a couple of them. And just the general consensus from a majority of your customers say that they feel when they get to the end of the sales process, that they feel like there was miscommunication or they're misunderstood in a way of what their needs were. Can you think of any reason why people would say that, or any, I guess, problems in the way you call people that you think would lead to them saying that?
So the only possible thing I can think of is, like, I'm very an informative person, but sometimes I do want to say, like, I inform rather quickly instead of asking for any questions for clarifications. Does that make sense?
Okay, so you just present the information, I guess, in a way that maybe you don't explain it as much. Is that what you're saying?
As in detail, I think I might So when they have a problem, once I figure out their problem, I'll just tell them about these things that we do, and just directly go to like how our products are, and not clarify if they have any struggles with it.
Okay. So do you think it's more like you don't give them a chance to really voice concerns because maybe do you assume anything about them in the way of like in description of our products, I guess? Do you just assume that do you push them towards anything, I guess?
I don't push them, but I feel like just because I've studied our products so much that I assume they know a little bit more than me that I've studied, or like your average person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the confusion can be where I know more about the products and sometimes skips a little few things versus fully explaining everything in detail after I've gained their confidence. I feel like they sometimes just trust me, and I might skip like one or two things.
Okay, so I guess what can you do, because it's I think a pretty simple thing to fix, that you already have a good personality, you're very informative about the products. I think it's a very small problem just to listen better. So I guess how would you, in your past jobs, how would you rate your listening skills, or how well do you think you are at listening and then taking what they say and expounding on that?
I think I'm very good at that. It's just my problem is clarifying, I think. Like I listen to what their problems are and how their products can help them, but if they have any questions after I describe things, I need to clarify a little bit more what they don't know or have any questions upon.
Okay, can you give me an example of that, of a clarifier you would use?
So once I told them about our brake pads and how it's like the double cylinder pistons that compress them, after that, I was like, yeah, it's double cylinder piston press. You have larger brake pads in the front, larger brake pads in the pad, obviously. Not everyone might know like how that system works, versus because the front always has two pistons, as you know, obviously, and the back has one because it's a smaller brake because the front are more important. Not everyone might know that, versus when I just say it's two pistons in the front and one in the back, so you smaller brake pads. Most people go through the front ones a lot quicker. I could ask them like, do you know why they go through the front ones a lot quicker, or why the differences between the two and the one?
Yeah, that's super good. I feel like that would just give them a chance to voice if they don't understand what you're talking about, instead of just breezing through that, because I don't think the average Joe would necessarily be able to explain that to someone else. I think that's a super good idea. The only thing I would suggest after that is to also just ask follow-up questions that after you explain it, and hopefully that they can also clarify it back to you, they understand it that well, is just to be very open and say, okay, is there anything else you want me to elaborate on, or anything that you didn't understand about this process, is the only thing I would add.
Absolutely. I will work on that.
Yeah, so I feel like your routine is obviously very effective. You have very high numbers. The only thing would be to just implement what you said of the clarification into your phone calls, and I think that will get rid of any of this miscommunication that's been going on so far.
Perfect.
Yeah, is there anything else you think of that we need to address right now, or any other issues that you've been facing in your phone calls?
In a week, can we follow up and approximately see how there's any screencasts or anything that see how my customers feel? Yeah, I'll obviously work on it, but do you have any packets of information or anything upon that? If you could just email them to me.
Yeah, I can do that. And every Friday we go through a couple screen calls from each consultant. So we can do that. And if I see any issues, then I'll flag them and discuss them with you.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, sweet. Thank you for coming in.
Hey, thank you, Paige.
Thank you.